YouTube, what it do? Welcome back to another video with your boy Him. Kind of intro was that? But today today I'm gonna be reacting to some White Walker, Whittaker, whatever his name was. You know, I was a fan of his watching, but I know he lost his recent fight. But there's a video of somebody saying the biggest fraud check in boxing history, the downfall of Ben. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but let's get into this shit. Damn, bro.
Imagine you do this first.
Bro, I'd be so mad.
And then this happens to you.
Finding the shot again, and he's up in the tempo.
He has a flow and a rhythm to his when he's showboating.
He's getting hit by a much slower fighter.
Oh my God. Fuck.
This is much talked about Ben Whittaker. The internet is flooded.
Whittaker. Alright.
Viral videos showcasing his flashy fighting
That
style
was Whittaker or
and antics
something.
in the ring, racking up millions of views. However, in his latest fight, something happened that will go.
But yeah, I just last time pausing, I was just watching him like this year. Like I found out about him this year. I was watching some of his highlights and shit, and that's how I was able to, you know, catch on to him and all that shit. But
the most humiliating fraud checks in boxing history. Ben was beaten, humiliated, and thrown out of the ring. To truly grasp
Crazy.
the scale of this tragedy, let's start from the beginning.
that shit happened again?
Understand
Oh,
the
that
context
I was about to
behind
say.
this young star's downfall. Ben's love for boxing was instilled by his father, who also competed as an amateur until he got injured. His father, a working class man, worked 2 jobs to support the family. He introduced Ben to his own coach, Joby Clayton, who was also Ben's godfather. Since they were poor and couldn't afford the gym membership, Joby allowed young Ben to train at a discounted rate. Joby also trained Anthony Joshua when he was an amateur. Ben quickly started to show results, but soon it was time to choose one sport to focus on. When he turned 15, his father sat him down and said, "Listen, you'll have to choose between football and boxing." So, Ben gave his all to boxing. In 2019, Ben qualified for the World Championship held in Yekaterinburg, where he won a bronze medal. In 2020, at the European qualifying tournament, he earned a spot on Team Great Britain and represented the UK at the Tokyo Olympics, which were postponed to 2021 due to COVID restrictions. In the quarterfinals, Ben easily defeated Brazil's Kino Machado, and in the semifinals, he
Oh y'all, this shit bothering me.
pointed the experienced Russian Imam Katayev. However, in a very close final, he lost by decision to Cuban Arlen Lopez. Whittaker stirred controversy by refusing to wear his silver medal at the ceremony, claiming that he felt he lost the gold and viewed the silver as a failure. He later apologized, saying, "I did it for all my compatriots and felt like a failure. I should have put that beautiful silver medal around my neck and smiled, because it wasn't just for me, it was for the country." In the heat of the moment, he promised to return for another Olympic run for gold. But after cooling off and consulting with his family and team, he decided to turn professional. Whittaker made his professional debut on July 30th, 2022 in Bournemouth, UK. He prepared for his first fight.
He just
under
went pro
Sugar
recently.
Hill Stewart at the Kronk Gym, the
Oh,
legendary
goddamn.
Detroit boxing gym, founded by Emmanuel Stewart. Here, it's important to explain something crucial about professional boxing and its peculiar internal structure, which has existed for hundreds of years. There are boxing stars, regular boxers, and, at the very bottom, journeymen. This is the ecosystem of professional boxing, where everyone plays a role and helps one another. A boxing superstar doesn't just feed themselves. They also support promoters and the regular boxers they fight against or who perform on the undercard of their fights. But to even reach the level of a regular boxer, one needs experience, which journeymen provide. These are the fighters who help rising prospects look good and gain valuable experience. Journeymen enter the ring for the paycheck, not to win, and there's no need for bribery. Everyone understands that journeymen have lower skill levels, but they need the money from their performances, so they accept fights. where the odds are heavily stacked against them. This structure has existed for many years, and everyone understands and accepts their role, because without one, the others wouldn't exist. That's why even showmen like Roy Jones Jr. would never mock journeymen. Everyone already
I'm about to
knows
say, where we
Roy
going
is
with
going
this?
to win. His job was simply to get used to the atmosphere of professional boxing with their help. Jones reserved his showboating for serious opponents, like former champion James Toney. Mocking someone of Toney's caliber highlights Roy's boxing prowess rather than humiliates his opponent. To behave that way against James Toney, you need to possess extraordinary skills. However, based on what
Bop.
you will see later, it seems that Ben Whittaker either doesn't know about boxing etiquette or blatantly ignores it for his own benefit. His opponent in for debut fight was Greg O'Neill, who had a record of 6 wins and 6 losses. Ben stood 11 centimeters taller than his opponent, with both his height and reach measuring 191 centimeters. As expected, he took a wide stance and peppered O'Neill with his lead hand. At one point, ducking under an attack, he lifted Greg as if he were a bride, which visibly irritated O'Neill. Benjamin then started a show, entertaining the crowd with flashy uppercuts and body shots that visibly took their toll on Greg. Using this advantage, Ben began to clown around, playing to the audience. He added hard uppercuts and brutal body shots, leaving Greg visibly struggling. The first combination of the second round was enough to knock O'Neill down. A right cross landed flush on his head, sending O'Neill to the canvas. Less than a month later, despite injuring his shoulder during training, Whittaker agreed to fight on the undercard of Usyk Joshua rematch in Saudi Arabia. In the 6-round fight, his opponent was Croatian Petar Nosic, whom Ben had previously beaten by TKO 7 years earlier in an amateur tournament. Nosic entered the fight with 6 wins in 6 bouts, having built his record on less challenging opponents. Injured, Ben didn't take any risks and stayed at a distance, picking apart the shorter Croatian, who seemed out of his depth in the weight class.
Right.
The fight went the distance, and Ben won by unanimous decision. After nearly a year-long break to recover from his injury, Ben delighted his fans again on May 6, 2023, when he faced fellow Brit Jordan Grant. Interestingly, 2 years earlier, Grant had fought Tommy Fury and lost. Whittaker entered the ring in leopard print robes and shorts, paying homage to Nassim Hamed, with whom he is frequently compared. Moving with the grace of a cat, he immediately targeted Jordan, tormenting him with jabs and vicious body shots, all while entertaining the crowd. The British star continued his relentless attack, battering Grant, who could barely survive as Ben bombarded him from all angles. A 2-punch combination sent Jordan sprawling on the canvas, and the referee began to count. Though the fight could have been stopped, it wasn't, as that wasn't the reason Jordan was brought in. Early in the 3rd round, Ben landed a check hook that left Grant reeling.
Get through that towel
to make the right call and throw in the towel. Next fight took place at the Manchester Arena on July 1st, 2023. Ben's opponent was the Slovak gatekeeper Vladimir Belinsky, with 13 wins and 6 losses. The most experienced opponent in the Briton's career to that point. The fight was scheduled for 8 rounds. Ben came out aggressively, pressuring Vladimir with sharp, focused punches. In the 3rd round, Ben latched onto the Slovak, unleashing an artillery barrage of blows. With brute force and energy, he knocked him down with a powerful right hand. By the midway point, Vladimir was breathing heavily and slowing down. Ben took advantage of this, working on his defensive skills and testing specific strategies. He could afford to pick his moments, showcasing his potential while experimenting with his coach's game plan. In the 7th round, Ben's corner urged him to pick up the pace, and Vladimir turned into a human punching bag as Whittaker began landing long combinations.
He did whipping the shit out of him.
The final 8th round, Ben hit Vladimir with a precise right to the jaw, causing him to stagger. After a finishing combination, the referee stepped in to save the Slovak from further punishment. On December 10th, 2023, Ben faced an Albanian-Italian descent named Stephen Lionheart Dreadheart. Steven trained in Milan, had been a pro since 2018, and carried a record of 11 wins and 2 losses. Ben made a dramatic entrance, accompanied by a ballerina in a black balaclava to the somber notes of a piano. The bell rang, and Ben swiftly connected with a sharp jab, immediately reading the timing of his Albanian-Italian opponent. He began to toy with him, all while delivering a beating. Boxing with his hands down, in the middle of the second round,
Oh my
Ben
goodness.
ducked under a jab and landed a precise hook to the temple, living up to his nickname, the Surgeon. Seconds later, he followed up with a well-placed uppercut. The second round ended with a few sharp exchanges and some testosterone-fueled posturing after the bell. An enraged Ben came out in the third round to punish Steven for his audacity, unleashing heavy combinations. Steven's lips and nose were bloodied, and after another counterattack, he took a knee. Ben eased off the pressure to show off for the cameras, which annoyed the referee, who repeatedly stopped the fight, urging the fighters to stop showboating and get back to business. In the fourth round, Ben nearly decapitated Steven with a combination of an uppercut and a hook, but it missed by a few centimeters. In the fifth round, Ben landed a crushing body shot straight to Khalid's spleen, forcing him to retreat, followed by a rain of crosses and hooks on the staggering Frenchman.
Oh my
Khalid
gosh.
could no longer withstand the punishment and collapsed along the ropes, forcing the referee to stop the fight and spare him
God
from
damn.
further damage. We arrive at the sixth professional fight in the career of the British boxer. However, it was this fight that made him an internet star, generating highlight reels with millions of views. Within just 24 hours after the fight, it earned Whittaker more than 100,000 new followers on Instagram. London, Wembley Arena. The opponent, 41-year-old French journeyman Khalid Gradia. Ben, sticking to his usual style, threw a lot of jabs, following up with the rear hand. He was dishing out punishment to Khalid in every possible way, entertaining the crowd and making them gasp in amazement at each of his tricks. Pinning Khalid's resistance with his lead hand, Ben began adding more shots, and bam! A hidden left body shot turned the poor guy's liver into foie gras. Gradia was given a count, and Whittaker caught his rhythm, turning the fight into a real show, while the referee occasionally lost his patience. Despite the brutality of Whittaker's attacks, Khalid managed to survive until the halfway point
Oh
of the
my
8th
goodness.
round fight. Though it seemed like he was barely hanging on, he looked like a clumsy circus bear, being toyed with, then followed up with a taunting move, forcing Khalid to retreat. This was followed by a series of crisscrossing combinations aimed at the barely standing Frenchman. Gradia couldn't take it anymore, sliding down the ropes, and the referee in the ring finally put an end to his misery. On March 31st, 2024, at London's famous O2 Arena, Whittaker meet Leon Willing. Ben started the bout by fencing with jabs, repeatedly landing his lead hand on his opponent's body. He managed to trap Leon Willings in the corner and unleashed a series of heavy punches that left his opponent visibly shaken. Moments later, Ben pinned Leon against the ropes again, and after a flurry of punches, Willings took a knee, with the referee counting the first knockdown. In the second and third rounds, Willings realized he was in trouble and focused on defense. He moved well to avoid Ben's pressure, but every time he touched the ropes, Ben pummeled him with powerful combinations. By the 8th round, Ben was still comfortably in control, though some fans expected a more explosive finish. His conditioning lagged slightly, but it was enough to confidently win via decision. On June 15th, Ben faced undefeated Nigerian puncher Ezra Onyeka, who had won 10 of his 12 fights by knockout, although his record had been padded with weak opponents. This marked Ben's first 10-round fight and his first shot at a professional title. Ezra tried to surprise Ben with sudden attacks, but Ben cooled his aggression with sharp counterpunches. In the second round, Ben showcased excellent counterpunching, with Ezra taking several hard shots as he tried to close the distance. By the fight's halfway point, the Nigerian seemed to be merely surviving, absorbing damage. After the bell, Ben mockingly invited Ezra to another corner, taunting him, only to receive a headbutt to the chin in response. In the 8th and 9th rounds, a tired Arenyeka was completely outclassed. In the final moments, Ben delivered a liver shot and a combination of punches that left Arenyeka dazed and retreating. Ben controlled the fight from start to finish,
Bro, throw that towel, bro.
shifting into full gear, but securing a comfortable victory for the Briton. As you may have noticed, Ben is very fast, but it feels like his showboating hides a lack of ability to finish his opponents. He has all the physical attributes for it, but tactically it seems like he doesn't fully understand how to use them. The next fight will be proof of this, and it may either mark the end of his career.
That's crazy. I didn't even know he lost till I seen this shit on YouTube.
2024, on the undercard of the
I ain't seen none of this shit on Instagram or nothing.
Artur Beterbiev fight, Ben defended his IBF International Light Heavyweight title.
But hey, Duke can still shake back, bro. That's just one loss, man. He can still shake back.
Against Liam Cameron.
If he lose again, ooh, especially in the next fight.
He was a tougher opponent than Ben's previous challengers, having fought for several minor titles, though only winning one. This was a logical step up in competition for Ben Whittaker, which he was expected to handle without any issues. As soon as the bell rings to start the fight, Liam Cameron immediately moves forward and attacks with a jab, but Whittaker quickly takes control of the center of the ring. Whittaker measures the distance with his lead hand, but his opponent doesn't let him settle, knocking his hand down and following up with a couple more jabs. In response, Whittaker starts to attack with long jabs and once again pressures Liam towards the ropes. Whittaker uses one of his signature setups, a quick light jab to provoke his opponent to counter. Then he pulls back and lands a powerful jab of his own. Feeling comfortable, Ben throws one of his signature body shots, a left hook to the body without any setup. His opponent tries to counter with a jab, but misses, forcing Whittaker to move backward. Notice that Ben moves his head back first, followed by his feet. This will affect him in later rounds. Cameron attempts to close the distance with a sloppy left hook, but Whittaker pivots away, putting his opponent with his back to the ropes. Both land jabs in the exchange that follows. Whittaker demonstrates one of his signature visual moves, throwing many straight punches at the block, followed by a hook to the body. These punches don't do any real damage, but it creates the illusion that he is attacking aggressively. Even great boxers like Sugar Ray Leonard used to play to the crowd to score points. A wild overhand from Cameron forces Ben to simply evade, and right after that, Cameron throws another overhand with the rear hand, which Ben again tries to slip, but gets caught. Cameron moves in close and lands a left hook, because Whittaker once again tries to pull back instead of blocking. Cameron rushes in with an overhand, but Ben sees it coming and pivots out of the way, just like earlier in the round. Whittaker measures the distance with his lead hand, then dips as if to go to the body. Cameron quickly catches on to the feint, knowing that Ben will soon throw an uppercut, either to the body or the head. Cameron responds with a strong overhand, which Ben tries to dodge at the last moment. However, this time Whittaker extends his lead hand to block the punch, then counters with a 1-2 to the guard. Liam tries to jab back, but misses, forcing Whittaker's head to pull back. Whittaker shows off with flashy movements, dodging punches that aren't really there and responding with punches to the guard. While it looks good, it wastes his cardio. Before Cameron even begins his next attack, he quickly notices that Whittaker seems to be looking for a reason to pull back and slip. Seeing this, Liam throws a light overhand followed by an uppercut. Cameron fakes an overhand, ready to catch Ben slipping and countering with a hook. But this time, it was just a feint, and Whittaker's hook hits nothing but air. At the end of the round, Liam throws a jab, which Ben ducks under to clinch. This leads to a final exchange, where Whittaker lands a jab to the head and body, while Liam responds with a body jab. Ben prepares to slip and counter, but ends up getting hit.
Ooh.
Round 2 starts with pressure from Liam Cameron, who shows no fear of Whittaker, using his jab to chase Ben all around the ring. Whittaker tries to respond, but his punches are just a lot of jabs to the guard. Liam fakes moving forward, and Whittaker falls for it. Liam does this 2 more times, and out of frustration, Ben punches the air. Cameron sees Whittaker shifting and throws a jab. Ben doesn't raise his guard, attempting to slip from an awkward position. He misses and ends up against the ropes, where Liam unloads a combination of punches. Whittaker nervously smiles in the clinch, trying to whisper something to his
Nervously
opponent,
smile.
but receives an overhand punch in response. By the middle of the second round, Cameron has figured out Whittaker's timing. He blocks Ben's jab and quickly counters with a hook.
Ooh.
The punch seems much faster now, as Liam knows the exact moment to throw it. Afterward, Ben once again hits Liam's guard with straight punches. But notice the effect of the punches. When Liam counters with his jab, Ben's head snaps back and he pivots away. So not only does he take damage, but he also exhausts himself with unnecessary movements. Liam
Right.
throws a jab that Ben managed to dodge with his upper body and predictably tries to duck under it. But Cameron has seen this too many times by now and catches him with an uppercut. By now, even a blind person could see that Ben Whittaker is preparing to pull back and counter with a straight punch. Liam notices this, of course, and lands a light jab to Ben's body, which makes Whittaker lose his composure. He pulls back quickly, punches at the air with a straight, and then gets smacked on the back of the head in return. Ben ducks to convince his opponent he's about to go for a body shot, then pops up with a hook, which Liam anticipates and blocks. Liam counters with a 1-2, landing both punches cleanly, despite Whittaker's attempts to dodge. Liam throws a sloppy 1-2 combination, and instead of capitalizing on it, Whittaker starts dancing, then moves back toward the ropes. In the third round, Cameron grew more brazen, doubling his jab, which Whittaker dodges as if he had a brain swelling. This leaves him wide open for an overhand that lands square on his head. Liam rushes in with 2 hooks, and once again, Ben tries to slip away by pulling back. This highlights one of Whittaker's main issues. Instead of using his legs first and then his upper body, he constantly relies on his head and torso for evasion. This often puts him in situations where his head is near the ropes, while his feet are still in the middle of the ring. It's a beginner-level technical error that Whittaker makes in every fight. By now, it's clear that all the unnecessary jerking around has tired Ben out, and he starts backpedaling around the ring. His opponent feints a body shot, but follows up with an overhand to the head and then an uppercut. This combination rattles Ben. In response, he throws a combination at the guard, followed by a clinch, where Whittaker gets positioned into a compromising spot. How would you describe this position? Let me know in the comments. By the 4th round, Whittaker had lost so much credibility that his opponent started showing off right in front of him, even taunting him with his tongue. Immediately after, Liam brazenly landed a straight, an overhand, and a body hook. Just when Ben thought the assault was over,
Damn, Ben.
Liam added another overhand for good measure. With each passing minute, Liam showed Whittaker less and less respect. A single overhand shook Ben's head violently. By the end of the round, multiple punch combinations were landing cleanly on Whittaker. Ben tried to smile and respond, but at this point his movements were glitching. In the 5th round, it became obvious right from the start that Ben no longer believed he could win. In frustration, he threw an entire combination of low blows. 2 jabs pushed Whittaker against the ropes, followed by a powerful overhand. Ben hit a new low, pretending that his mouthguard had fallen out after a jab. In reality, he was exhausted and trying to buy some time while his mouthguard was being picked up and cleaned. After a brief rest, Whittaker was ready to continue getting punched in the head. Ben ducked under an overhand, but that didn't save him from the barrage of body shots that followed. With each round, the beating grew more brutal, considering how much Whittaker loves hitting below the belt and pulling dirty tricks with his mouthguard. It's no surprise that by the end of the 5th round, we saw a bizarre clinch where both fighters fell out of the ring. But Liam
Man,
got back up,
crazy.
ready to keep fighting, while Ben Whittaker, after consulting with his corner, claimed to have a serious leg injury. You'd think after a fighter says he can't continue, Liam would be awarded a TKO victory.
Right.
At the very least, because of the strange clinch, it should have been ruled a no contest. But let's not forget that promoters have big plans for Ben Whittaker. So, for the first time in boxing history, despite
lose?
the fight going into the 5th round, the organizers decided to count only the first 4 rounds and announce a draw based on the judge's decision. It's easy to explain. They had to salvage Ben Whittaker's career somehow. They clearly wanted to avoid a technical knockout loss and ignored the 5th round because Ben lost it so badly that no one would believe any other result. So they decided to score just the first 4 rounds, where the only round that could arguably be given to Whittaker was the first. Since the number of rounds was even, they conveniently declared a draw. In this way, the organizers, judges, and referee did everything they could to save Ben Whittaker, boxing's supposed future star. However, the place where he truly needs saving isn't in the ring, but in the gym. He needs to learn that just being fast isn't enough. Even at the mid-tier level of boxing, attacks need to be planned and set up, not just random punches to the head or body. Most importantly, someone needs to remind Whittaker that he has legs, which should be used when getting hit. Sure, shoulder rolls look nice, but there's a time and place for everything. It's strange to see how a guy who once said he wasn't satisfied with his Olympic silver medal, feeling like he lost gold rather than won silver,
can't play boxing,
is now
man.
happy to accept the most bizarre draw in boxing history. This disaster
That was a draw?
was a blessing in disguise.
So he didn't
Ben
lose.
Whittaker and his
It was
team
a draw.
need to admit to themselves that he lost without any chance. That shows
What?
that
I thought he
Whittaker
lost.
isn't even at the level of a mid-tier professional boxer yet. He needs to lock himself in the gym
Yeah, he got
for the
locked in,
next
bro.
year or 2 and correct his mistakes. Do you think Ben Whittaker...
Facts, bro. You got people calling you a fraud and shit, bro. You got locked in. Dang, I thought... No, hold on. Come on, man. Record. This is record. They gave him a draw. It was a draw. I probably gotta watch the full, cause I probably gotta watch the highlights of the fight by itself, cause the dude I was reacting to, he was kind of meat riding that dude. Like, he ain't really sure what Ben Whittaker was doing. It just looked like he was getting his ass whooped the whole fight. So I gotta see for myself. Like, it probably was a draw. I don't know. But damn, boy, you got shake back. Got shake back, man.